Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us on Late Night with Travis Michelle. I am your host, Travis Michelle, just in case y'all were wondering. What is this show about? Well, it's called Late Night with Travis Michelle Show, and the premise is ugly side of the backstory. And what does that mean? Well, when we're being successful, when we're working towards our goals, whether it's being a better parent, it's getting your degrees, it's starting a business, getting married, whatever that is, it's a journey. And everyone wants to see the, shiny objects at the end. Well, on this show, we actually talk about that in between, that journey, what gets you there, what keeps you motivated, right? And I don't like to really say motivated, so let me change that. What keeps you moving forward? Where's that determination come? Because we're not always motivated, but we do have something that's pushing us to complete it, to get to the next step. And I like to use myself as an example. I use my all the time, but I like my guests to share their journeys. This way, when other people who are watching on replay and live, when you're going through something and you're like, I don't think I can make it, you can look back and say, hey, in my tool chest, I can see that there's somebody else who also, it wasn't easy all the time, but they didn't give up, right? So this is to be encouraging as well. So what I would like you to do, please, is to share this out to your platforms. Please make sure that if you are part of my YouTube, that you go ahead and subscribe. I like doing this part. I don't know, y'all. Did you think this was a serious person all the time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have to laugh. We have to enjoy ourselves. So welcome, everyone. Please share this out on your community platforms, and just take a moment before we get started and just kind of breathe. I want you to just kind of breathe in through your nose. Slowly breathe out through your mouth. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in through your nose and slowly breathe out through your mouth. Don't you feel better? Your body's getting some oxygen. You're getting set up. You're getting ready. Yes. So while other people are actually joining, if you're here, please make sure that you comment. This is an engaging show. It's not where we just sit here and do talking heads. Put your comments in there. I'm going to put your comments on the screen as well. And I want you to know that at all times, your mental health is your number one priority. It is, because without it, man, it makes life so much tougher. With that being said, I would like to segue right into our wonderful guest. Y'all, look, she has a long bio. Even though it's a short bio, it's a long bio. She is so accomplished. So I'm not going to sit here. You go to places and it's like you've zoned out already because you're reading everything. Let me tell you, this woman is dynamic. She is a speaker. She is a registered nurse who went on to become a family nurse practitioner and now a psych mental health nurse practitioner. It's Nurses Week, y'all, just in case you didn't know it is. And yours truly is also a registered nurse. So, hey, salute to all of the registered nurses out there in the world. Thank you for the service. Thank you for what you do. But Dr. Charlene Whitaker-Brown, it's just when I tell you, when we met on the phone, because I was referred by Tiffany Teachy, because they're line sisters. Let me shout out the Deltas. Okay, let me shout y'all out. I know. But she was like, yeah, this would be a great person for your show. And Tiffany Teachy is one of my riders, right? Ride for life. She's been in my corner forever. So when she suggests someone, refers someone, it was like no brainer for me. And then when we had the opportunity to speak, that was it. I knew we were in the right place, right spot. So without further ado, yes, she's accredited and all that stuff. She's a professor at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. Y'all. She just started her own company. She's going to give you all the further deets. Without further ado, here we have added to the stream, Dr. Charlene. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Look at this late night. All right.
Yes, it's late night because I am not an early morning person. I believe in having real conversations 100%. I don't do the, I mean, if I have to, yes, when I go on shows, that's fine. But on mine, no, it's about kicking back, relaxing. You see, we both have our beverage of choice. I'm drinking water because I have to drink a lot of water. You see, Dr. Whitaker, she has her. You have yours. Y'all have your bonnet on and stuff. We got to be cute because we're in front of the camera and everything. But so thank you so much for coming here. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, real short, so we can dive right into these questions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me here. This is an honor. When we met, as you mentioned on the phone, it was like friends at first talk or whatever. You know how they say love at first sight. We were friends right then and there. So, it's always good to collaborate with fellow nurses and feel each other's spirit because you know where they're coming from. So I think that's so important. But yeah, so a little bit about myself. I am a clinical associate professor in the School of Nursing at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Go 49ers. I am also a dual certified family nurse practitioner as well as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Of course, I've been truthfully, if you want to know the whole story, I felt like I've worked at every position almost in a hospital. In high school, I started working out in food service. And then I got my CNA license, but I didn't work as a CNA in high school. And then I just continued to transition into getting my DNP. And then actually I went back and got my second master's as a psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioner. So yeah, that's a brief update, but we can get down and dirty into it too.
Good. Well, I see that we have Sydney Nelson who is tuning in. So thank you. And to all the Deltas, if you have not actually signed on to StreamYard, I'm not going to be able to shout you out. So it will just have your comments. Please comment, engage. I'm still going to put you on the screen and you can put your name in there. But we're shouting you out anyway. Just know you're important. And those of you the same on the replay, give me time. I will come back through and acknowledge you also on but people will be able to see it because we're out over YouTube as well. So now I understand you have two beautiful children and you have a husband. How has this journey been? Because you have not one, but you've been going to school through your doctorate. How has your husband been able to support you with two children?
I think, thank you for asking that question. I call him Brother Brown sometimes. I should get Brother Brown down here so he could tell you the down and dirty. The next time we meet, we'll have to have Brother Brown to give his side of the story. But, it's definitely just been a blessing to have that support system. I think I've done probably three things in my life that I'm proud of doing. One was actually becoming a certified nursing assistant. The second was becoming a nurse. And the third was marrying Brother Brown, as I call him. But it's so helpful. We have two beautiful children. I have a 4-year-old. I also have a 7-year-old. And, they're the light of my life. I'm an only child. So, to have kids with two, who have siblings, I think it's just so important because that was my number one thing, right? I was like, listen, I don't want my kids to not have like a brother or a sister. So that was just so important to me. But yeah, absolutely. My husband is definitely my rock. He's been a very good support system. I always have these bright ideas and he's really willing and able to just roll with the punches. And we are always rolling, as you can tell. Oh goodness.
That is good. And shout out to Brother Brown, okay? Because we need to acknowledge our kings, right? Our Black men that people want to say so many horrible things about them, which is like they're good and bad in everyone.
Yes.
But our Black men have really stood the test of time.
Mhm.
And those who are supportive of us, we need to support them. And
Yeah.
those that aren't, we need to just pray for y'all. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. But anyway, we all pray for them.
Yes.
Yeah. So, why did you decide to choose mental health as your concentration? Because for
Yeah.
people who don't know, when you're going back for your doctorate or your master's, you get to choose different areas: education, it could be community health. They're just
Mhm.
different. Why did you choose mental health as your focus?
Absolutely. So, a little bit about where my passion is. I've been a cardiac nurse practitioner forever. I started off working as a nurse practitioner. I was in like a CVS minute clinic, so I saw patients just more like acute, everyday upper respiratory type problems, etc. And then I transitioned to working in heart failure. So I worked in heart failure for about 11 years.
Wow.
And actually, I just transitioned out of working in heart failure this year to do psych more full time. But when I worked in heart failure, I had so many patients that had depression, anxiety, and just the stress of knowing that having that chronic disease. And I just felt as a practitioner, I did not have enough information to give them that comprehensive approach, right? So
Yes.
I felt like I wasn't able to give them a well rounded experience. I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge about that psych piece that I think is so important. And so that was one of the things that motivated me to go back and get a psychiatric MP, degree. And I'm not sure, am I looking the right way? I know we're live. Should I look straight? Should I look up? I'm breaking.
Look, I be looking all over the place. You
Okay.
are perfect. Okay. Look, ever since COVID and we're now on Zoom and stuff,
Uh-huh.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks here, the computer's like, oh no, it's over there. No, it's
Yeah.
over there. You're looking straight. You're fine.
All right, we're good to go. So I keep on going with the mission and vision of why I chose to go back for psych. So it's just so important. I saw so many patients that had depression and anxiety, and I just want to be able to make sure I provided the best care. So that's one of the reasons why I went ahead and went back and got my psych NP from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Oh, nice. Yes, North Carolina in the house.
Yay! Tar Heels, let's go Tar Heels. All right.
Yes. Put that plug in there. All right. No, no, it's so important because there may be some young ladies, some young men on here. And I say young, not meaning that they have to be 21, 22, because I went back to be a registered nurse in my 30s, right?
Mhm.
And, but they need to know that even, when you start out as a certified nursing assistant, you don't
Mhm.
have to stop there. And
Yes.
just say just, because there's no just, because
Yes.
they can save our life and help save our patients. So like
Yes.
that's a stepping stone, and then you can work your way up as far as you want to, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In high school, I was in a program called like health occupations, and I think they still have something like that now. And one of the outcomes for us in our health occupations class was obtaining that CNA licensure. So that's what I did. So in my occupations class, my senior year, I was able to get my certified nursing assistant's license. And, it's very interesting when I was doing like my clinical rotations, I was able to see the nursing assistants. And, one of the things they told me, they said, you don't want to do this job. This is not what you want to do. And I'm like, really? And they said, you don't want to go back. You don't want to be this forever. And I'm just like, why? I just didn't understand it. So I did not know the dynamics of the differences between CNAs and nurses. And then even though I was in the health occupations class, I wasn't really aware of how dynamic nurses were.
Right.
So I continued to go on to college. I went to East Carolina University. Go Pirates. I'm going to be dropping all kinds of names tonight with all these degrees, but go Pirates. So went to East Carolina University. I majored in exercise sports science. So I decided that I wanted to do actually physical therapy. So I'm actually a second degree nurse. My first degree wasn't nursing because I didn't know, I didn't want to do nursing. My mom had gotten sick. She had gotten in a car accident and she broke her kneecap. And so she was going to physical therapy and I would go with her. And so that's one of the things that really got me into the health occupations mode, seeing the physical therapist, working with my mom day in and day out when I had to go with her to therapy. And so when I went to ECU, those were the things I kind of majored in to get prepared. I majored in exercise science to prepare me to apply to be a physical therapist.
Wow.
So, yeah, and then as time would tell, I did, you have to do service hours, volunteer hours before you really apply to be a physical therapist. So I did all those things, right? And one of the things I definitely want to share with your audience is it's important to volunteer in something you think you want to do so you can make sure you don't waste any time, right? And so that's what I did. So I volunteered, and then after a while I felt like I don't know if I should really go to be a physical therapist. I felt like it was not as dynamic for me. I wanted something more, but I wasn't really sure what that was. Until my last year of college. So I'm doing 4 years of school. My last year, my last semester, I'm doing a internship in cardiac rehab. I'm paired with a cardiac rehab nurse instead of the exercise sports science person. So lo and behold, we were doing different things related to nursing. And I learned then that nursing was dynamic. The nurse was so engaging. She was teaching the patients about heart health and exercise and showing the patients the replicas of the heart, all those things. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know nurses could do all this, So it's so important, that people actually take time, talk to folks who they think are important related to that career path they want to be on, and engage with these people and find out this is something you actually want to do. So that's actually one of the turning stones or turning points in my life, working in cardiac rehab, my final semester, my final year, and then decided that I think my life might change.
Wow. And it's funny because it's ironic, I should say. A lot of registered nurses, it wasn't necessarily their first career.
Absolutely.
Just like myself, going into nursing was not my first career. I was going on the legal track.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I started as a word processor, went advanced to being a secretary for partners, and segued into paralegal. And that's when I realized I did not want to be a lawyer.
Right, absolutely.
They were like, we're going to pay for you to go to school now. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'll strangle them. I don't want to be one of those people.
Right.
And so I segued into nursing, and it's been the best for the last 27 years that it affords you, myself, I'm saying us, to live the life that we really want to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that versatility, like you mentioned, living the life you want to, I think that versatility is so important, When I did that internship in cardiac rehab, after I finished that, I graduated, went back home, and believe it or not, I got my first job after graduating with a 4-year degree using my CNA license. So I'm not using my 4-year degree. I'm using my CNA license to get my first job. So I was an appointment secretary and a medical assistant, and my licensure for CNA helped afford me to get my first job. With that first job, I had to do a lot of things. Like when I did the medical assistant part, there were sometimes I had to see children and they needed vaccinations or they needed shots, and I did not have the credentials for that, so I had to get the nurses to do the injections. I could do everything, all the workup, but just not those injections. And so those were some of the things that were some drawbacks for me, in that first job. But one of the things that does stand out from that time was I was a, like I said, appointment secretary and a medical assistant. So I rotated between two roles, and I also rotated through different departments. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. So I was at Wilmington Health Associates, and one of the doctors there mentioned, he said, listen, we need a full-time nurse. Can you be our nurse? And I said, I'm actually not a nurse. I have a CNA license. I'm not really, so, just from just having someone kind of speak to what you're doing, and recognizing that you're doing a good job. So I actually, believe it or not, after working about 9 months, I ended up deciding to go back to be a nurse, go back to school to be a nurse.
Wow. Being in the right place, and that's why I always say those circles that we're in are so important.
Yes.
So it's important to prune those voices and those people from our lives, and doesn't necessarily mean you have to tell them that.
Yes.
Half the time they walk away, just don't chase them back.
That's right.
With that, let's segue into the mental health portion.
Yeah.
When you were dealing with and taking care of those the heart patients,
Mm-hmm.
and you said you saw a lot of depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back now, how could you help them? And now that you are a psych nurse practitioner, how could you help them? Because some of our viewers have family, or they themselves may have some heart problems, or it doesn't have to be that. It could be an illness.
Absolutely. Yes. So
depression.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things, a lot of the medications, some of the medicines that patients are on, some patients might be on something called like a beta blocker, and that does have a tendency to also cause some type of depression as well. So patients might not even know some of their medicines might kind of lead to some depression. That doesn't mean you don't stop taking them. No, you need to take your medications, but at least understand that, and then you can advocate for yourself or for your family members, and just follow up with your primary care doctor or your cardiologist and say, listen, I feel like I need some extra support because I'm feeling down, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling lonely. So if I was in that position as a psych NP, just taking more time to talk about self-care, because I think that is important. Making sure rest is so important. Diet and exercise is very important. So just emphasizing that a little bit more would be one of the things I think I would definitely share with those patients suffering from that. And also sometimes just talking to folks, or talk therapy. A lot of times, of course, we have our friends, we have our family, but you might just need that third person, or that person that's not in that circle, just to talk to. And I think that probably would help a lot of those patients, just having someone just to listen to them. I think that's important.
As a psych nurse practitioner, yes, guys, I have to look in my notes. Okay, I don't have this off the top of my head because I want to make sure that I sound intelligent on here. Because y'all know that I'm a cervical cancer warrior here, and that
all right.
In the past, they say once you stop taking chemo, oh, your brain, it just goes away. Yeah, lies. So, anywho,
all right.
In your experience, what are some of the biggest challenges or misconceptions surrounding mental health care, and how do you address them in your practice?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think a lot of challenges or misconceptions. I think there's still a big stigma when it comes to like mental health. People are still, afraid to get labeled, or say that I or seek therapy. It's important, and I think it's important for people to know it's okay if you recognize that something might not be right, or maybe I do feel lonely, or I'm feeling sad, or maybe I'm crying more than I did. And I think a lot has happened also since the pandemic, with a lot of our mental health. During the pandemic, there was a lot of isolation, and families were apart from each other. And I know even with myself and my family, we tried to stay connected with FaceTime birthday parties and that kind of thing. So just trying to get back into like re-engaging with people. I think that's so important, but definitely I think there's like a big stigma when it's related to mental health. And I just want people to know it's okay. It's okay to say I need help, and it's okay to reach out and ask for help. There's so many resources, not only with like primary care doctors, or even those are mental health providers. They're counselors. If you go to church, your church family, pastors, those type of things. So there's a lot of people out there who can definitely help. And I think you even mentioned that you have a certification as a mental health specialist, emergency specialist. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Yes, I kind of like, yes. It's true. I haven't like completely shared it all out, but it is out now. That's fine. Yes, I did. I'm now certified as a mental health coach and advocate, but I am segueing more to my focus is advocacy, because I'm not ready to really coach because I'm doing my speaking and things, but the advocacy part. And I'm also a certified mental health first aider.
That's what I was trying to say. The first aid part. Yes, the first aid. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are programs across the country. I don't really know all of them, but people can do like Google searches to find out where they can get trained to be like the mental health first aid person. So I think that's so important too, to know.
Right. Because I know people are going to say, what is that? So I'm going to share with you guys a mental health first aider. Yes, we don't diagnose, we don't treat. However, we do recognize signs and symptoms, and what we are a resource. Because I thought it was very important as a speaker, I might say something that triggers someone, and I can see that they're triggered after I'm finished speaking, and I'd be able to go over and sit with them and listen and work them through. It doesn't mean that they have to go to the hospital or anything like that. However, I could offer resources for them. And so it's really, really important. And then we work together with the police and with psychiatrists and psych nurse practitioners, etc. So thank you for mentioning that. So yeah, but it's important. We should be accountable. And a lot going on. And with that mental health and wellness part, how do we take care of ourselves? Yes, we can go, and we have, I put down here, you have counselors, primary care doctors, first aids, we have that. But until we get to that, what can we do on a daily basis for our mental health wellness?
Well, absolutely. So, I think one of the things that you started the discussion off with, or you opened your show with, breathing, right?
Right.
Breathing in and breathing out, and just taking a moment to kind of collect yourself and just gather your thoughts. I think sometimes throughout the day, we forget to breathe. We're just so busy. I forget to breathe. I'm like, I need to sit down and take my deep breaths and reset and recollect, right? Like you said, have that oxygenation go into your brain and gather your thoughts. So I think one of the things we can definitely do at home is just breathe, deep breaths in and out. There's different types of breathing techniques. One is breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and then you can repeat once or twice. So you can do that. So it's like different types of breathing techniques. I also like apps, right? So we are talking, I'm sure we'll segue into this in a little bit later, but artificial intelligence is so important. It's like right here with us. We're on the cutting edge of all these things, but artificial intelligence and having these apps where you can get on your phone and do the breathing techniques, or have someone do some guided meditation. There are different types of apps for guided meditation. What else? Oh yes, agreed. Oh yes, Sydney. Hi, Sydney. That's my link sister. Yes, your Apple Watch help. Yes, absolutely. So her Apple Watch helps her like remind you to breathe. these watches are so good too, because sometimes they also remind you to stand up.
That's
Right. Especially if you're working from home, working long hours, you need to stand up, take some stretch breaks. I often tell my patients, I have several patients who work from home. And I
right.
said, what type of schedule do you have for breaks? I always ask them what their break schedule is, what their lunch schedule is, because though you're still at home, you definitely still need to take that time out for
Yes.
your breaks, right? So that's important. I tell them, if they don't have it already built in, take your 10-minute break. Walk for 10 minutes, come back, sit down, do your work, take another 10-minute break, walk again for 10 minutes, and then maybe take another 10-minute break if you can at the end of the day. And then by that time, you've done like 30 minutes of physical activity. So physical activity and fitness is so good. My husband and I just recently joined, my son, my 7-year-old, is in martial arts. And so he's been in martial arts for about 2 years now. And my husband and I recently have joined the Martial Arts Society.
Nice.
And we're now yellow belters. We went from the white to the yellow belt. So yes, yes, yes. So we do martial arts twice a week for about an hour. So, engaging in physical activity and fitness is so good. So making sure you continue to do that, I think that's important. And then don't forget about eating properly. So fruits and vegetables, and stay hydrated, and your vitamins, whatever your doctor prescribes for you, that's best. I think you should follow up. And don't forget to, I think a lot of us forget that we need to check in with our primary care doctors. Let's get our physicals, and let's get our blood work done, and just make sure we've done all the things that we need to do.
That's important because, okay, I put it out there as healthcare workers, we
Yeah.
can be some of the worst
Yes, I know I can.
because we always tell others to do it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
All right. And it's important that you just share as a healthcare worker, as a registered nurse, as a nurse practitioner,
Mhm.
what can we do? Because I can't, when I was emergency room nurse, I could not come home and tell my family all the stuff that was going on, the
No.
dead bodies, the shootings, the stab. I could not, they couldn't handle all of that. I was still trying to process it, but I
Yeah.
was expected to deal with it, especially when we went through COVID as healthcare workers. We
Yes.
saw, heard, felt, lived through a lot of trauma, but
Yeah.
we had to keep going.
Yes, yes. That's so important. And I think when we are in the occupation we're in, as you mentioned, and you can't share with your family because of those HIPAA restrictions and regulations, I think it's important for us to reach out to counselors, other people who are in mental health and who can help guide us. There's something called trauma informed care, and I have some of my social work colleagues who have that background in trauma. Now I don't. My treatment, I do a lot of treatment with patients who have like depression and anxiety, but I have a lot of colleagues who also are really good at what they do with trauma informed care, and helping people with additional, like I can help with PTSD, but I have some really good friends who can do that deeper dive with that trauma. So as nurses, I think it's just important that we don't forget that we need to take care of ourselves and find someone that we can talk to help us further process all of the things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Because like you said, we've seen patients have passed in front of us. I mean, I can't tell you how many patients that I've seen over my lifetime. I mean, I can't talk, I don't talk to my family about it, like you said, because they can't process it. But even as a new nurse, I just recall seeing the first time I saw a patient pass away, and it's a lot to take in. And so I just definitely think it's just so important that we just need to find the community, have a community of people who help remind you about the importance of self-care and checking in. So yeah, of course you might have your family and your friends, but you also need another group that can also hold you accountable. And I think that's a good thing to have. Get you an accountability group if you're a nurse to help hold you accountable. I had a meeting actually last night with a group of friends. I'm calling them my friends now. We are a part of a leadership training. I'm always training and getting more information. We're doing leadership training with entrepreneurship, and most of them are therapists, social workers, PhDs, MSNs, MSWs, etc. So they asked me, one of my friends asked, Charlene, what are you doing for self-care? And I said, well, I'm doing blah, blah, blah. She said, and I said, well, it's going to be a certain date. Or I said, well, tomorrow I'm doing this and tomorrow I'm doing that. And she said, no, you need to name it. So I'm charging everyone, name what you're going to do for your self-care. And if you can't do it that day, name it. Just put it out there in the atmosphere and say what you're going to do for yourself. It's so important.
That, you know what, because I was going to ask you about that. Like, what exactly are you doing? Because when people talk about self-care,
yes,
you know, it's getting our nails done, our hair done, and massage. That's important.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But that's maintenance.
Yes.
Your teeth.
Yes.
But what do you like taking that long walk, long drive?
Yeah.
You know, I love to drive. When I can get out and just get on that highway in my car, listen to my exhaust, y'all, because you know I don't have mufflers and stuff. I'm just I shift my gears, you know, that brings me peace. Just kind of just getting close to God and thinking, and I can solve all the world's problems. You know, so sitting by the beach.
Yes.
Taking that yoga class that you didn't take, then say, oh, you know what? I'm stiff. Well, get out and do some yoga. Or you know, just start walking and breathing. Those things that will rejuvenate you inside, meditation and prayer. Like, God is my savior. Look, my Lord, I say that every time, no matter where I am. I will not be on your stage if I can't acknowledge God. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
But whatever that is, whether you're Buddhist or, you know, it doesn't, whatever spiritual being you worship.
Yes.
Get into that, reconnect with that.
Yes.
As opposed to just the surface stuff.
Absolutely.
Get upset with that, with the surface, but it is the surface stuff because it doesn't help you feel better in the long run. It's immediate, right? And we need to feed ourselves. So I thank you for that. I'm going to share. I just want to read because Ebony, thank you so much, Ebony. She said, Ebony, Sydney says, Ebony, I agree with you there. Justification is if I have everything back to back, my breaks can be longer and I can finish earlier, right? Because we all want to get off work. Yes. Her company defaulted all meeting times from 30 to 25 minutes or 60 to 50 minutes to allow for that mental break. Now that is excellent.
Yes.
Those of us who don't, you know, or those of you who may not work for a company and you are the boss, you need to incorporate that. Did you hear me, Ebony? I'm just saying, build those breaks in, right, into your calendar right now.
There you go,
not
Ebony.
later, not I'm going to, because look, I used the example last week as well in praying for Jamie Foxx. He was on his movie set. And I don't know, we don't know exactly because there's all too many rumors going around. But you know what they did? They put a double in. Okay, bro, you know, you do handle your health, but we're gonna put a double in because we got to keep it moving. You're not, you know what? You're indispensable. You are. So look, take care of your life and yourself.
Yes.
Because you can't go backwards.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm gonna throw myself out there. Thought I was doing what I was supposed to and riding 100 miles a week on my bike, going across the 59th Street Bridge as a nurse. I get up snow. I didn't ride less than 28 degrees. I did ride a little in the snow. I rode in the rain and I tried not to ride above 90 degrees. But of course I did anyway, right? That was 14 miles a day. Plus I rode with a group on the weekends. So it was like 100 miles.
Amazing.
But guess what? I still wasn't going to the doctor for my GYN checkups. So when I, you know, so it's just like, look, there are things that we say we're doing, but we don't follow through. And it could be because of traumas. It could be because we're fearful of the doctor. Sometimes because Some people may not have insurance. It could be so many different reasons, but reach out. There are resources, and I want y'all to know there are resources. It's not easy to find, but you have a connection right now with Dr. Charlene Whitaker-Brown.
Yes.
And she has her own company, and I'll be putting that up there as well so that you guys can find her on Instagram.
Yes.
So we're going to just take one moment, and I want you to tell people where they can find you, and then we'll segue back just to give people an opportunity sometimes to kind of process, because we can do this a little heavy.
Yes.
In a good way.
Yeah.
But I really want people to process it. So we're going to have a little fun right now and say, so you started your business. Yes.
Yes. All right.
Instagram.
Yes. Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about Mind Heart Institute and Wellness Center. So, I had an opportunity to kind of share my story about how I love cardiology, right? And that's how I kind of envisioned, or that's how things kind of started with me wanting to kind of learn a little bit more about psych from my heart failure patients. So that's why it's called Mind Heart Institute and Wellness Center, because it's so important. Your mind, your heart, your soul, everything is connected, mind, body, and soul. And I wanted a name to reflect the two things I love. So the mind and our hearts. So that's why it's called Mind Heart Institute and Wellness Center. You can find me, of course, on Instagram. Actually, the site just launched yesterday, my Instagram site. Woohoo! Billionaire Brands is my branding person. So one of the things that's so important is, just being able to reach out to folks. So yes, it's Mind Heart IWC on IG. You can also follow me, Charlene Whitaker-Brown, on Instagram as well. You can also look me up on my website. So it's MindHeart, MindHeartIWC.com. So when you go to that website, you can look on there. There are lots of great resources, some crisis information, guides, some videos about self-care, about anxiety, depression, all those things. In addition, if you are in the state of North Carolina, I see patients across the state of North Carolina in person, yes, and online. And I also take insurances, and that information you can find on the website as well. Okay. So and please actually go to my website and subscribe to my blog, so you'll get additional information, and I can kind of keep you in the loop with upcoming things and some other good tips that are coming my way that I can share with everyone else.
And Ebony says, beautiful site.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
People are quick. Well, I'm telling you, like, what? No, but
yeah.
But Ebony, I just love her. She is so she's been a guest on my show as well.
Okay.
And she's all about that clarity.
Yes.
All about clarity. She has snatched my edges, and I don't have many.
Yes.
Longer, but
okay, Ebony. Well, tonight was a bad hair day, but we work it. Listen, Ebony, I'm gonna work it out for you, okay?
So with that, it's nice segue into this next question, which is, with the advancements in telehealth and digital mental health resources, how do you incorporate technology into your practice?
Yeah, so that's a good, I really like that question, because I think technology is so important. Being in the health space for such a long time, I've seen technology evolve, right? So I think that's just so important to kind of see how things evolve, see how things are moving. So one of the things I have with my patients, of course, we have electronic medical records, but then I also have a special app that they can use on their phone where they can get HIPAA compliant messages from me. So I can text them information. I can also send them emails through a specific app that we use for my patients. And then that way they could feel safe sending me a message, and then I can respond to them, and we know it's HIPAA compliant, meaning, we know it's protected and it's safe. So that's one of the things I like to use. And then, of course, my EHR system is really good, where my patients can log on, get the information they need, their insurance information, if they need to find other stuff, other things like asking for like prescription refills, all those things. So I think it's so important to be able to have patients have the opportunity to access their information just with like a click of a button. So I use a lot of technology as a form of my EHR and my communication systems.
Now, do you also have visits with your patients via telehealth?
Yes.
Because everybody doesn't feel comfortable going back in, or they can't make it. So how does that work in your practice?
Yes, absolutely. So the patient can either opt to be seen in person or face to face. And right now, a lot of my patients are opting to be seen face to face, because a lot of them, like you said, are working from home. So they're taking like their lunch break to see me. And then that way that saves them time from having to travel and then come, going back and forth to make it home for work. So they have the opportunity to do that. And I do use the Zoom platform for my patients.
Very good. Thank you. And yes, and it does work, guys, because that's exactly what I do. Like, there's just certain doctors, it doesn't make sense for me to drive 45 minutes to pay to park and wait when you're only going to talk to me like 30 minutes anyway. You don't have to lay hands on me. That's different. Then I got to go in. But it does help make a difference. And it also encourages people to actually go to the doctor, because like, oh, okay, let's do a virtual. And like I said, there are apps on your phone.
Yes.
You have your own portals. So this way it's secure to your passwords, and then their systems are secure.
Absolutely.
As secure as it can be, y'all, because nothing ain't really secure into everything. But you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So that's good.
And also, for me, even though I'm doing a lot of psych and mental health, for me, being transitioning from being like just solely focusing on patients like with heart failure, it's so important that I still get vital signs. So a lot of my patients, I require that they have a blood pressure machine at home. They will sit down in front of me if we're doing like a Zoom or a Zoom call. I'll have them do their blood pressure while I'm there, so I can see them put the cuff on their arm, etc. So I think that's so important. Some of them have devices where they can get their heart rate, so they'll use that type of technology as well. But we also like to make sure that we are getting the most accurate information.
See, y'all didn't realize today. One, it's Nurses Week. So we have a doctor on here, Dr. Charlene Whitaker-Brown.
Yes.
Then we're talking about mental health, and we even got some extra other health talking about. This is what we're talking about. This is what the journey is, the ugly side of the backstory. It's not necessarily a straight road. You have bumps, you have curves, you have valleys, I said up, right? We have valleys. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But the thing is, you keep going, and
absolutely
the opportunity to speak. And like Ebony says, telehealth increases accessibility for marginalized people. And I love that Ebony said marginalized people instead of the word we use all the time that we're, no, we're not. I don't like it. And my brain just said a fart and just couldn't remember what it is. You know what they say? Minorities. I can't stand when they say that, right? Marginalized is more appropriate. So, and words in our mental health, our words are so important.
Yes.
That segues right nicely. Thank you so much, Ebony, because what you tell yourself is what's true for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, things we can tell ourselves.
Yes. Yes. You know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I took a photo today of something my mother had on the table. And it says, I matter, I am enough, I am love. And like you said, and I just took I took a picture of it because I was like, you know what, that's so important. And it's so important to have reminders like that
Right.
around the house to for you to like visualize it, right? And speak it into existence. So a lot of things that we say, we become, right? So transitioning my kids every morning, they do mirror talk and they say who they are. I am special. I am powerful. I am smart, right? So it's so important that we recognize these things and we encourage ourselves because our body hears us and we can heal ourselves by the words we say.
That is so important. And, I have Christian, he's my 4-year-old grandson, and he's in North Carolina too.
Yes.
So we'll be there shortly for his graduation. He's
Oh,
graduating
wow.
from pre-K. It's a big deal.
Yes, yes, yes.
But it's funny because he was speaking to someone, a family member,
Hmm.
and they were saying, "Oh, you're so silly. You're so silly." And he looked at them and he says, "No, I'm not silly. I am
Hmm.
intelligent." My
Hmm.
told me that.
Yes.
So I have this bear. I'm his TT. That's what they call me because
Yeah.
it used to be my mother, my grandmother. So I got low hanging fruit. I wasn't called grandma or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But he has his Build-A-Bear, and on
Hmm.
one of the paws pressed,
Hmm.
that's what I have said to him, that I love him and he is intelligent.
Oh, I love
My
that.
son, of course, he said he's heard it like thousands of times. He's tired of hearing it, but
Mm.
the importance of it. Because
Yes.
what we feed our children
Hmm.
is so important because they'll spew it back out.
Yes. Yeah.
And so those words are really important. I can't believe that like our time we have like 8 minutes here. This is
It's
good,
gone by
guys. This is
faster than
good. I
I
hope you have
expected.
enjoyed it. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube
Yes.
channel. Make sure that you go ahead and comment because I will still come back and go through them. But what I would like to just be in closing, ask you, what advice would you give to individuals who are interested in pursuing a career as a psychiatric nurse practitioner?
Absolutely. So I think several things are very important. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, it's so important to talk to people who are something that you want to become. So if you want to become a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, go talk to a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Find these people, look them up, do some research on them, reach out to them and say, listen, may I come and talk to you? May I interview you? I'd like to ask you some questions. So I think first things first, always see if you can reach out to these folks and just touch base with them. Hey, offer them lunch. Hey, may I take you out to lunch? Or can I just drop by? Do you have a few moments? Yeah, I'm looking for a mentor. So I think that's important. And then, of course, sciences. I did Tiffany TG, I did a STEM summit with her recently, and we were talking about the importance of science and technology and math and engineering, all these things. So if you want to be any type of nurse, science is important. You definitely need to understand science and do well in those courses. So I think that's a second thing that's important. And then just find out, just kind of go around, maybe do some volunteering at like a local hospital, or local different places where they will open it up for you to, volunteer in the area where you're interested. So volunteering, doing well in science, and reaching out to others who are already on that path.
And I'm going to add another caveat. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure that the school you attend, you vet them and they're accredited.
Oh, yes.
You know what's going on in
Oh
Florida, y'all. What?
my gosh.
I would be a mess. That
Oh my gosh.
what?
Yes. So do
So
your research, make sure you graduate from an accredited university.
yes, it's we take it for granted, but this is
Yes.
serious. So
Yes,
you do, and
absolutely.
everybody throws up, their shingles and says what
Hmm.
they are, and yeah, but you need to make sure that you are accredited,
Hmm.
that it's recognized,
Yeah.
and for those who are of color, find a mentor that looks like you, because your experience, you can have more than one, but make sure one of the mentors look like you, because our experience is a little different, and we can definitely give you those tools that you need in your tool chest when you're the only one in the class, or not that many, or a teacher tells you you're not going to make it.
I've heard that lots of times.
I'm just saying what I went through. I don't know.
Yes, we didn't even get into that today, but I've heard it many times. You're not doing well. You need to do something else. I mean, that's enough. We need another hour.
We'll come back. That'll be a part 2.
That'll be the part 2. But I do want to share. I do want to share one important thing as we are kind of working on like transitioning out of our programming. But there's some national suicide crisis and helplines that are so important. And then I'm just going to read it verbatim because I just want to make sure I don't mess it up. So if you're experiencing a life-threatening emergency, feeling in deep distress, or having thoughts of hurting yourself or hurting others, please go to your nearest emergency room or call 988 for emergency services. So that 988 is the new number for like a psychiatric emergency. So just make sure you have that written down. And then there's also a crisis text line, and it's text 741741, and that's free, and that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's a confidential text message service for people in crisis. So I just want to make sure I read that for you all correctly verbatim. Okay.
And that also, to let you know, for those of you who are in the military, they do have, when you call the number, you let them know you're in the military, and they actually have people from the military for you, because they can't speak to the civilians. Okay. I did this work during COVID. So I was on my IG like every day. I got to get back into it. And we shared these numbers, and I used to know the long numbers. So I'm so happy to have the shorter one. Also, just to let you guys know, I'm being transparent. During COVID and dealing with so much, I called the number, the 988, and it wasn't that I had a crisis that I needed. It was an emergency in terms of needing to have medication or anything. I just needed to vent. I needed to dump, and I could not share that. And my colleagues were dealing with it too. So yes, we would talk, but I needed to just like let it all out. And that was better.
Yes.
And that's cool. Done. You can then take that off, breathe, and move forward. So if you don't have a crisis right at that time, but you do need to vent, definitely make sure that you call that and recognize for other people, not just yourself, offer the number and information to other people as well. It's so nice to see you, Dr. Harris, Josephine Harris. I think she's also in mental health.
Hi, hello.
Yes. Guys, this has been a wonderful evening. We are going to have a part 2 because Dr. Charlene said so. So just know that we are, because I think we want to delve a little bit more into the stigmas for especially Black people. Right?
Absolutely.
Marginalized, and breaking those stigmas. But right now we wanted to go through, I'm celebrating Nurses Week and celebrating the fact that, our mental health, mental wellness. We say mental health, but it's mental wellness as well, right? I just want to also acknowledge Sydney Nelson. Thank you so much from the links. I know the Deltas were in here, the sorors.
Yes.
Dr. Harris being here. Ebony, thank you always, always, always. She comes on and fires up the chat. For those who are on the replay, make sure that you share this out to others and really pay attention to it, because this is real and it's not getting better. And we're going to have election year. Turn off the news a little bit. Like, don't watch so much of it. There are other things that we can do. People that always have a problem, just let them, be upfront with it. Set your boundaries. I like to say, I don't have that bandwidth right now.
Yes.
As I smile. Because
Yes.
if you push me, we're not going to have a smile anymore. Then, Michelle's going to be coming off my shoulders. So I'm trying to be polite about it,
Yeah.
but protect your mental health at all
Oh,
costs
yeah.
because you only get one. You
Absolutely.
get chances at it, but you get one. All right. It's yours. So, Dr. Charlene, we are going to be following you in your community
Yes.
and let me put this back up before we go so that people can see it. I have so many comments. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited.
Yes.
We want to follow you on your IGs at MindHeartIWC and at Charlene Whitaker-Brown. You also have your website, www.mindheartiwc.com. I remember that properly. Woo! You get blogs.
Yes.
So enjoy your life. Enjoy the moment. Concentrate on your breaths.
Yes.
Just sit, take in the full breath, and blow out. One more time. In, blow out. See, we end the show the way we started the show today. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Queen, for being on here with us. Thank you, everyone who showed up today. For those of you who are on the replay, we're here every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Travis Michelle 7251. Also on my Facebook, Late Night with Travis Michelle show. I will not be showing this on my regular Travis Michelle and Black Women Walking in Power because I want everyone to either be on the YouTube page or on my Late Night with Travis Michelle page. So I'm just saying, y'all, get your lives together so that you don't miss out. Look for me also on my IG at Travis Michelle because I am going to start doing some lives. And guess what? Dr. Whitaker-Brown says she's going to do a live with me. So we are going to have a good time on there too. So just take care of yourself. And remember, this is Travis Michelle. Y'all know how it goes. Too much for some, not enough for others. But guess what? I'm always just right for me. Have an awesome night. And guess what? Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms, all of the aunts, the cousins, anyone that you're taking care of people. Happy Mother's Day. Go out. Oh, greetings, Chandra.
Yay, Piedmont.
My Black Nurses Association. I heard so much about y'all. Oh my goodness, so glad to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Go out and be the best you that you can be. Good night.
Night.